Hey. Hey guys, can you hear me? Folks, we are starting in 3 minutes, so grab some drinks, as Vašek told me to tell you. Grab some drinks, go to your seats, and we will be starting in like 3 minutes. So folks who are joining us through live stream, we will be having talks just a few moments. Yeah, you keep doing what you're doing, just give us 3 more minutes.
The drinks are at the fridge.
Drinks are at the fridge. Vašek is very worried you cannot see the drinks, so drinks are at the kitchen in the fridge. Yeah, I think we can start, right? So, good evening, folks. It's already after 6 p.m., so I think we can slowly move to the content part of our meetup, Mental Health Hacks. This is the name of today's meetup. I welcome you on behalf of kiwi.com and our tech community, code.kiwi.com. This event is live streamed, so I'm also saying hi to the people who are joining us from the coziness of their homes and offices today. Today our meetup is organized together with SentinelOne, so thanks a lot for providing this great space for this meetup. And as Vašek told me, to remind you about the drinks that are in the fridge. So feel free to have some drinks in between of the talks, but try not to be too noisy during the talk, please. So, one more reason, apart from amazing SentinelOne folks, that we are here is a community that is named code.kiwi.com. Code.kiwi.com is, first of all, people. By day, we are software engineers, engineering managers, designers, researchers, PMs, data analytics, that building kiwi.com so our customers could find unique flight options and prices other search engines cannot see. By at night, we are wearing code.kiwi.com merch, and we are presenting on what we are doing at our company, how we are building kiwi.com from technical point of view. But this meetup is not very usual for us. We got used to technical talks. Today, we are talking about mental health. But we believe this topic is very important in 2023, so we decided to share this content with tech community in Prague. We reached out to our friends at Microsoft and SentinelOne, and we decided that we will be sharing personal stories of doing sports for your mental health. We will be taking what engineering managers can do to take care of well-being in their engineering teams, and we will see what companies can provide for the employees' well-being. We will be discussing well-being days, sabbaticals, and so on. To the agenda. Today we will have 4 15-minute talks, so agenda is very, very packed. We will have MJ, or Martin, Edgar, Anna, and Jakub are our amazing speakers today. Shortly they will be standing at this very place. And after each talk we will have short Q&A session. You will have only about 5 minutes to ask your questions, so we will have time only for like 3 questions, 5 questions tops. All of the other questions we can move to the informal part that will start at 8 p.m. And again, the informal part, the networking, is provided by amazing SentinelOne guys. So thank you. As we have in-person and online attendees, Q&A will be through Slido. Do you know what is Slido? I will teach you now. So you just need to have your phone, and you need to scan this QR code. Let's try the tool out. Share with me what is your favorite well-being hack or stress relief hack. How do you relieve stress after the stressful day at work? For me, for example, it's sauna. I'm waving at people who are visiting with me Balance Club Brumlovka right now. I see some of them here. Yeah, so just share with me, and we can see that you're typing, and yeah, now we see some questions, so Slido is working. This is how we will interact with speakers today: cycling, swimming, gym, playing piano, therapist, great. Kicking boxing bag, tea, switching off the PC, great, I love it. I need to take a picture, I will use it. So yeah, this is how Slido works. Oh, you keep doing it. Let's just enjoy. Take picture of that. You can steal those advices. Old car trip. What is that? I need to talk about it at the networking session. Playing games. Yeah, so this is Slido. This is how we will interact with speakers, and now you know how to do it. So every time you have a question, please scan the QR code, but you already scanned, so we already opened the Slido, and ask your question. Folks who are joining via streaming, please do the same. And by the way, in Slido you can also vote for the best questions, so upvoted questions will be answered first. So look at the Slido from time to time. One more hack I learned at DevRelCon. Today people will be sharing very personal stories, and sometimes public speaking is very stressful for the most of the humanity. So one hack I learned from DevRelCon, audience applaud loudly, standing, when every speaker goes on stage. So I want to ask you to applaud loudly while standing when you will be welcoming every speaker on stage. Believe me, it will help speakers a lot. They will feel the connection with you right from the first minute on the stage. So let's try it out. Without further ado, let me introduce our first speaker on the stage. Martin Jancík will be talking about Mission 36, running around the world while leading a design organization. Welcome, Martin. Loud applause.
Well, oh, I already feel the connection. Nice. Good. Okay, I need the clicker, by the way. So, thanks. Okay, it works. So, after many dry runs, get it? It's about running. We will get there. We ended up here on the talk. Thanks for the introduction. This is a picture of me warming up before the actual race of Mission 36 in Valencia. But to get there, I will take you all the way to the beginning, how it actually came to be and how it started. And we have to really start a long time ago. This is me defending my bachelor thesis at the Copenhagen Design School. And yeah, I became a designer. And for a lot of the years, I thought that design is who I am. It's MJ, the designer. And my classmates, my colleagues can tell you how much time I spent designing stuff, building stuff, really being almost, I would say, passionate about bringing stuff to the world and creating things. And as I was, throughout the last dozen years, as I was doing my career and becoming designer, design lead, a design manager, I realized that it's really, everything is about my work. I identify myself through being a designer. And I think I didn't feel it that much at the beginning, but as I grew to a leadership position, I started to feel that I'm stressed about it. I have anxiety about being judged by the outcomes of my work, about how successful I am as a designer, how successful is our team. And this brought a couple of, I would say, like kind of, I would call it like confidence issues, that I started having a huge imposter syndrome, being always, especially moving to different positions, starting to think like, oh my gosh, is it just me being good at talking? Is it just me being at the right time, at the right place? That's why I moved, and so on. So I started having this imposter syndrome, anxiety of being always judged by the work, and ultimately also stressed about failing and failing the team, because suddenly you have to make such big decisions which make impact. And I felt throughout the years that I wasn't really a good leader because I was avoiding some of the decisions because I didn't want to fail anyone and myself. So last year, I really started feeling this, and I started seeing the team at Kiwi that I'm not contributing as much as I would like to. And there was also one moment, and this brings me to the chapter 1 of the talk. It's from Tatras to Danube. There was a moment, we do this every year at Kiwi. We go to this race where we have a team relay. It's running from the low Tatras in Slovakia to the Danube River to Bratislava. And we are 12 people, and we relay, and we run through half of Slovakia. And what I realized last year when we did it is that, wow, for a weekend, none of these people, they are engineers, designers, finance people, customer support people, like we all come together and we run for common goal. And for the weekend, it's nothing about work, it's just running. And everyone becomes sort of a different persona. And suddenly we really have different types of discussion. And last year when we did this, I realized like, wow, what if I could maybe sustain this for longer than a weekend? How would it affect me? So that's how the mission actually was created. That what if I sort of reshape my identity as a designer into a different spectrum, and I sort of become not MJ the designer, but MJ the runner. How would it affect my design work? So the mission stated something, I wrote it back then, and I thought I will never share it with anyone, so it's not very, like I would say understandable for others, but it was to prove that you can be good at multiple things at once. Your identities can make up for each other, creating a more sort of overall person. So having more things to do, having more sort of connections to different areas can ultimately lead that they will interact with each other and make you sort of understand the world from different perspective. So this was the mission. But the mission, for me, I'm a very competitive person, by the way, and for me, I needed a goal to actually sustain going into that direction. So, and that's where, this is the mission part, but I now will talk about the 36. Why is there the number? For that, we need to get a longer flashback, 15 years ago. And this is a primary school in a small town in Slovakia, and has a very kind of meaningful connection to me because I grew up in a village of 500 people in the hills. There was not much to do. And the one thing I started doing in primary school after school, I was just running around the hills by myself. I was running every day. I had no watch. I had no idea how long, how fast, anything. And my PE teacher from the primary school saw me, and she was like, wow, you must be very good at running that you do it every day. So she signed me up for a competition at this school, which was in the nearest town, and she sent me to the competition. And it was 1,500 meters run on the athletic track, and I felt like, you know, I'm running every day. I'm probably very good. So I came to the competition, and I realized that the people who are at the competition actually have coaches, and they train, and I'm just a random person doing it afterward, having no idea about how fast I actually am. So we were 27 people at the competition. I ran, and I finished, I would say, like 24th or 25th. And that's when I realized, like, oh, okay, maybe I'm not as good as I thought. Well, anyways, but what I did back then, because I was a very competitive person, and I hated losing, and I remember crying all the time when I lost and so on. So I wrote on a piece of paper a thing. So 5:40 was the winning time of the guy at the 1,500 meters. And I said, I will run it in 5:30, the 1,500 meters. Now, to give you a perspective, I don't know how many people are into running, but that's already quite fast for 12-year-olds. That's quite fast. Like, you need to actually train. Long story short, I never did it. Like, I never achieved it. I trained for a while, but it was too hard. So now I got back, when I was thinking about this mission, I got back to it, and I was like, okay, what was the goal I had when I was 12? It was the 5:30. So I calculated in the pace per kilometer. It's 3:40 per kilometer in the running pace. But obviously, as an adult, how many competitions of 1,500 meters can you attend nowadays, right? It's mostly like half marathons, so unless you're at the Olympics. So I said, okay, why not to make it 6.2 times harder and scale the same pace to 10 kilometers. So then it ended up roughly 36 minutes. So that's how I ended up with the goal of 36 minutes. That, okay, this will be mission 36. I will try to do it. As soon as I did the math, I understood that this will be very painful. Because I started checking like the races, the professionals, and I found out that, okay, 36 is a very fast time for a runner to achieve. So I was not really sure if this will work out, but anyways, I went for it. And that brings me to the chapter 2. And if this would be a movie, this would be the Eye of the Tiger moment, where there is a montage of me training in the gym and running around. I really ran everywhere. I dedicated 20 weeks to work and running only. And I basically ran before work, after work. I trained. I enjoyed some of the craziest sunset I have ever seen. On some of the days, I ran in the mountains, by the sea, on all my business trips. I literally ran from Košice to New York. Well, not literally. There is an ocean, but you know what I mean. There was a lot of locations where I ran. I ran on 3 continents, just kept training. Yeah, here are some pictures. I ran in Colorado, 3,000 meters above sea level around the reservoir. I went to Boulder, which is like the mecca of trail running. I trained on a road called Magnolia Road, which is considered in the US as the toughest road to train on. So I really kept going. I got a coach. We trained. I have a loop, a 2K interval, which is on Strava in Central Park around the Jocelyn Kennedy Reservoir. So I really enjoyed a lot of the different sceneries, and I just dedicated 20 weeks of training to running. And then at a certain point, I was like, okay, what is the craziest thing I can do to achieve this? And I Googled, what is the toughest training place for running in the world? And this small village in the middle of jungle popped up called Eton. There's really nothing. It's in Kenya. And one of the phenomena of this village is there is nothing, only farming, but this village has the most world records. The people who are from this village own most of the running world records in the world. So I decided I want to start researching why they are so fast. Maybe it will help me. So I wrote an Olympic runner from there, and she replied that I can come to her training camp. And I spent 1 month living in the village with the locals and trying to understand how the children grow up, how they learn to run, what do the professionals do. I spoke with local teachers. I ate lentils 8 times a week. It was really crazy. I mean, when I arrived, I just saw this gate and it said, "Welcome to University of Champions." And I'm like, okay, I'm at the right place here. So yeah, it was a crazy moment. And this was the turning point for me when I started realizing that this mission might actually make sense, because there was a lot of parallels I started seeing between the running and between work. I suddenly started liking Mondays. Now, I loved Mondays when I was a student. I was super passionate about design, but throughout the years, I kind of started hating it. I enjoyed weekend more. And it was always very hard from the weekend to get back. But since Mondays were the only days when I didn't run, it was a rest day, suddenly I was like, my running part of me was helping the other part of me being motivated all the days. So I started seeing these parallels, how healthy it is for me. And then I realized that the professional runners, like I could write a book on like how they train and everything, but one other story is that what they do is that they train hard, but only 1 or 2 days a week. The rest is resting. So I actually think like, okay, we don't have to be pushing hard every single day at our work. Like we can actually have moments when it's really important to push hard, but then the rest is actually in the easy runs, in the easy days. So it's all about the, long run. It's not about like being like all the time. Okay, these puns are getting weaker.
Good.
And yeah, this is more stories. I met crazy people. I met Olympic runners, gold medalists. I ran with them. The German national team now invited me for another training camp. I said, I cannot come with you. I'm not an Olympian. I met national team from Czech Republic. This is Betsy Sejna. She's awesome. She's one of the most accomplished runners from Kenya. She ran the Rio Olympics in 2016. She invited me to her home. We spoke a lot about the parallels between work, running, how she thinks about it. 2 weeks ago, she won the half marathon in Sevilla after giving birth to a child. Impressive people I met there. And then this brings me to the last part, the chapter 3, the finale. I dedicated 20 weeks of work to then come to Valencia and hoping to beat 36 minutes. Now, I knew a week before Valencia that it's still too hard. Like, it's very hard to win 20 weeks, become basically a professional runner. So I was kind of like at peace, like, okay, we will see how it goes. And what happened, imagine 20 weeks of training, everything going according to a plan. I arrived to Valencia, and then on the race day, I accidentally ended up at a different location, not where the start was. Because everything was in Spanish, I came to a place and there's no one. I'm like, in 30 minutes there is a start and there's no one here. So then I asked some people on the street, like, where is the start? And they said, well, it's 3 kilometers on that way. I'm like, nice. So I'm here training 20 weeks for a moment and to be late on the start. So what I did is, well, I ran to the start of a running race. So me with a backpack, fully clothed, trying to make it to the start of the running race. I was already like, oh, this is terrible. Like, I dedicated so much time to it, and now I will fail because I'm late to the start. So I was running, and there was a moment when it all clicked throughout this run, because as I was approaching the starting grid, I had like, let's say 6 minutes, I think it was, till the start. I already saw the starting line. And then, at the races at the beginning, the elites start, the professionals, and I was running opposite of them because I was going to the start and everyone's already prepared, and everyone on the fence, everyone is like, who is the weirdo running on the track, the opposite direction with a backpack, fully clothed. And then there was a moment when my eyes sort of like clicked with the elite runners, and I knew them. I knew them from Kenya, a lot of them, because there is not that many white people in Kenya, you know, so they remember you. They remember like, oh my gosh, that's the crazy Muzungu, how they call white people there, who was there in Kenya. And some of them even greeted me like, hey, MJ. There was Amana Petros, who is the national record holder from Germany. He was like, oh my gosh, that's MJ. And this was the moment when I was like, I really don't care how this race goes. Like, I really achieved my identity. I think I feel like part of the running community when people who have gold medals from the Olympics know my name. This was a moment when it all clicked. And this is me arriving at the starting line. I look quite destroyed. This was, I think, 2 minutes before start. And then I just shot the gun. I just sprinted, and I just told myself, whatever happens, I will just run as fast as I can until I cross the finish line. So I just sprinted. And yeah, then I crossed the line, and it was 35:57. So, yeah. So, but back to the story, like how I think throughout the parallels and throughout the things you sort of noticed that it didn't really affect me only as a runner and my athletic abilities, but it also affected me as a person. The moment when I didn't really care how the race goes was a moment where, like, you know what people say, it's about the journey, not about the goal. That's when it fully clicked, like, oh, I know so many people, I learned so much stuff on myself, I now can operate much more effectively. It doesn't really matter if I run under 36 or 36.5. Now it feels good to have beaten it, but yeah. So there is an epilogue to it. That from that moment, I can assure you that we have the most productive year in Kiwi because I suddenly gained hopefully healthy confidence. I'm not fully afraid of everything I do as a designer that will define me. I know I have other stuff to do. I know I did other things, not only design in my life, where I can always even change. It's change my job. It's never late to reinvent yourself. So I think this was which gave me sort of freedom to operate much better as a leader. So I would end up with this quote: "If you tie your career, if you tie yourself to your career, the successes and failures you experience will directly affect your self-worth." And I think this was happening to me before, and I feel like this journey helped a lot. So yeah, last message, I guess, it's good to be yourself, but sometimes maybe be someone else. I don't know. Oh, questions?
We actually have a lot of them.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. So,
should I read them out?
I can read it for you if you want.
Cool.
Or they are not voicing you actually, so you can read it.
Okay. Do you plan to add more identities in future, or running and design is enough? That's a good question, because I have been thinking about it a lot lately after the race. I think so. Just to give a sneak peek, I'm thinking, I will keep on running. I think that identity really fits me. I found myself there. But I'm thinking about getting into gastro. I'm very passionate about coffee shops and restaurants, and I've been always enjoying good food. So I'm thinking about maybe I can get more into that as well and open my own place. So that's something I've been thinking about. Yeah, that's the latest thought I have. Okay. We'll see. This is a good one. How is your imposter syndrome when giving a public talk? So now it's much better. I have this thing that every time, because I usually talk about work, right? Like I go to conference or meetup to talk about design. So, and that's what I said at the beginning, that I feel very comfortable in the design environment. I've been super passionate about it. So it's actually easy for me. But I realized the moment I have to talk about something else than design, I'm stuck. I'm standing and super nervous. Like once I had to give a speech at a wedding of my cousin, and I couldn't say a word. I was just so nervous, and I was like, wow, why is this happening to me? So with design, work, it's fine. With anything else, I think it's very, very hard. So I think this was for me with the confidence. I don't know if I answered the question, because imposter syndrome is very specific. So if we can talk about it more, if it's a question from here, because I have too many thoughts on imposter syndrome. Oh, wow. I mean, I'm now thinking to myself, the talk was probably not very understandable. Like, really, maybe I failed. No, I like running. Yeah, I really found myself in it. So yeah, it definitely balances out things with the work.
I think we should do one more.
One more? What favorite takeaway do you have from meeting so many interesting leaders in their field? Wow, so many. This is super hard. I already told you my favorite, like with the resting, the Mondays. This is very hard. Oh yeah, I know. When I was in Kenya, in the village, there was a lot of runners who are very accomplished. Like, they've seen the world. Like, it's not like they've been in the bubble of the village their entire lives and have never seen the Western world, let's say. And I remember that throughout the month of living with them, I realized that there are things which, for example, there is no drinkable water. Like, the water was the most expensive thing I had to figure out, like, how to get. There is no infrastructure. There are almost no roads. Like, it's all dirt roads. It's terrible. A lot of illnesses and stuff. It feels terrible to us, but they are actually extremely happy. And I spoke with some of the runners, accomplished runners, like, wow, why do you still live here if you could live anywhere in the world? And they said, like, this is the best place to live in. Like, the place, it doesn't matter what infrastructure or something. Like, we are so happy. We feel like we belong here. This is our place. So back then I realized, like, wow, like, my biggest thing which I was looking forward to when I was going back to Europe was that I can brush my teeth with sink water. These kind of moments, like, we don't even think about them, right? Like, here, but for them, it's like crazy thing. And even though they don't have these basic things, they are still happy. So it kind of gives me also a lot of motivation. Like, okay, things are not as bad as we always think they are. Like, there are people who can be happy in different environments. So yeah, I think this was a takeaway from the leaders, that even though the sort of physical, materialistic things are not as good as they could be somewhere else, it's really about the mental state and the belonging with the family and with the people there, which actually drives them there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So many questions. Please keep those for the networking part after 8. And now, our next speaker is Edgars from SentinelOne, and his talk is called Under Pressure, Engineers' Mental Health. Let's dive deeper in this topic. Welcome, Edgars. Loud applause. Stand up, please. More. Okay, maybe. Yes, third time. Thank you.
Hi, guys. Sorry, little technical issues. Can I get a clicker?
Oh, shoot.
Okay, thank you. So, my name is Edgar, and this talk will be a little bit different. So, there will be a little bit of technical details, but I hope you all guys will get it. So, it's about how we as engineers working under pressure and what we can do to a little bit help to our colleagues and peers to, do better. So, next slide. So I'm Edgar. I'm from Latvia originally. And I'm engineering manager here in Sentinel, leading a DevOps team since last year, April 2022. So in the past, I had a bunch of various positions in SRE, infrastructure engineering, DevOps, basically saying guys who are touching production, dealing with critical infra systems. And yes, I did a lot of mistakes. And as you probably realized, mistakes will be kind of a main topic of this presentation. So, first of all, I would like to ask you maybe how our IT environment changed in the last, let's say, 20 years. What is the biggest change? And in reality, as per me, it's just what software and all what related to a software world is right now everywhere. So all aspects of our everyday life is basically saying driven by software. So all critical infrastructure which you see around, it's potentially operated by some engineer, someone deploying some software on the background, so you name it. It's airports, airlines, banking sphere, finances, traffic control systems, sanitation, hospitals, all of that controlled by infrastructure. And we as engineers, on daily basis, applying some changes, adjusting configuration, doing something. And it's probably producing some level of stress, and we are worried, anxiety, things like that. And to be very honest, we all aware about responsibility, right? So it's probably one of the first things which you will get to know when you're starting such job. But when you are getting used to it, it's in fact routine. So you're applying changes every day, but you know what you're touching critical system, but it's all about routine, right? So daily, you're doing something in a system, and another system, and another system. So you're a little bit getting used to it, but it doesn't mean that your stress not staying with you. It's probably still there. You might not gonna just recognize it on daily basis. So I tend to call it like a hidden stress. However, there is some situations when this stress might reveal and just go outside. Yeah, we can talk about various scenarios, like maybe, I don't know, you had a bad working environment, you just had a bad day, or maybe at home things are not very well, a lot of potential things. But what I want to concentrate here is about human mistakes. Like, because we all humans, and it's normal, we are doing mistakes. Sometimes we just might apply something wrongly, just forgot something. So here, let's start our story. I would like to tell you a sort of fairy tale, one legend about engineer called Honza, like popular Czech name. So Honza is a young engineer. He's working in an enterprise company as an infrastructure engineer, and he just graduated from university, maybe like, I don't know, 2 months ago. So he's still on probation period. And Honza working in infrastructure team, which are responsible for critical customer systems. And one of their biggest customer is a huge bank, one of the biggest in Europe. So their team maintaining data center. So I specially selected this example to make it a little bit more simplified. So they maintaining storage arrays, network, cable system, things like that. And today is Friday. So Friday, Honza is alone on a shift, and he's in the progress of making one change for his customer. And this change is a removal of unused disk arrays and unused storage from cluster of server. And this cluster is quite important for a company. Actually, there is running some application which controls the flow of cash machines in the major European countries. So any interruption to the system might produce degradation and potential outage of whole cash machine system in maybe few countries, maybe one, but it could be big. And you know, Friday, people goes out to drink for a party, so they're all using a cash machine. So probably not the best day to perform such operation. So Honza and his team, they think that they have a well-defined procedure how to actually perform such things. So procedure sounds like that. So disk connected to a server via multipathing. So you have 2 paths. If one path is down, you still have another one for redundancy. So process says, confirm with application team if everything is okay, remove one path, wait 8 hours. If everything is good, confirm again, remove a second path, confirm that everything is good, wait for another, I don't know, 48, 64 hours, and then remove the storage completely, wipe it out, to avoid any interruption of system. So Honza started with path 1, everything went well. Application team confirmed to him, yeah, Honza, everything is fine, you're super good, you can continue with the next step. And this is where first mistake happened. Application team checked the wrong monitoring. So they checked the monitoring, everything is fine, everything is green, no worries. But in another monitoring, which was somewhere else hidden, everything was not so good and red. So, but no one knew about this. Okay, so he removed, after 8 hours, second path. And then It's a time when things became hot. So basically saying customers start to get a degradation, some systems crashed, so you're getting another actor in the scene. It's incident manager. So incident manager is also a young guy, he's plenty new in his role, and he's pretty worried. He's alone. All his senior colleagues is away, so he don't know whom to ask. So his incident manager, he's like, okay, he has a procedure, he knows what to do, but he also getting calls from a bank, from their incident managers asking like, hey, what's up, what's going on? Everything is on fire. Friday, we need to fix it back. So he's pretty nervous. So obviously he's starting a call, but he also constantly pinging to Honza in a Slack and asking, hey, what's up? We need to fix it back. Very fast, let's do it. So, and here, where biggest mistake of evening happening. So Honza has a whole his change procedure defined in a ticket. So he has exactly steps what he need to do, exact commands. Even if he need to do fallback, he knows what to do. However, by some sudden mistake, instead of mapping this disk back to the server, what he does, he actually wiping them out. Just, him mixing two commands, like under stress, because guy constantly calling him, there is a call, there is Gonza, fix it now. And he's just like, oh, okay, and boom, and that's it. All disks are gone, and instead of maybe 20 minutes fix and very simple explanation, you're getting 4.5 hours outage of critical production system. People in a big European country cannot take money in cash machine, so, things getting hot. So you will ask me, what are the consequences of this for Honza? So I think Honza will be fine, because yes, he did a mistake, but in reality, process was not good enough, and he was just a young engineer, but definitely it's impacted his health, right? So he had a bunch of sleepless nights. He probably, worried Friday, so at least he need to wait until Monday, right? When his manager will come to work and when all RCA process will start. So definitely he had a bad weekend and was worried about what to do. So this is a story, just a typical example. In my career, I can give you at least 10 examples like that with a similar impact, right? We're all doing mistakes. Even right now, all engineers are bringing a bunch of automation. We have a test. We have a bunch of processes, bunch of people who are controlling what actually you are doing. You're still super vulnerable to such mistakes because, if you can break something, probably you will break it. It's just a question of time. So here I'm going to a next slide of my presentation about what actually you can do as an engineering manager, as engineer, to actually support your people, and even if something like that is happening, to avoid this stress to be revealed and affect their life and damage their career potentially, right? Actually, I also know such cases when people were just done with IT. So in my opinion, first of all, is a blameless environment, right? We're all doing mistakes, nothing happens. Even if it's a very bad, very big problem, probably you still can, just learn from it. And basically saying, take this situation as an improvement step. So blameless environment for me is a must-have. Another thing, of course, as engineering manager, you should learn your people. Hey, get used to disasters. You should, like a fireman or like a ambulance response guy, you should know what to do in case something went wrong. So disaster recovery, fire drills, just learn people how to work in such environments. Then, of course, reduce routine. As you saw probably in this story, what he had this process and he did it many times, and guys had a monitoring, and it was kind of like a usual stuff. Every newcomer in this team started from it. But probably this routine might be harmful here, so maybe it's also advice for engineering managers to look a little bit on it from a different side and try to give a different task, maybe some POC of people, proof of concept, play with new technologies, just to a little bit do more colorful their everyday life. Of course, support and task prioritization, you see we're all pushing oh, critical project, this is a critical project, you need to do it, you need to do this now, tomorrow. Probably not working like that. People need the time to, focus, to be confident, to execute the changes on time. Communication. Well, obviously we all should communicate, we all should talk, just not necessarily about work, but maybe even socialize in events like that. Very helpful. You need to understand what your people are worried. Maybe he has big troubles at home, right? And you're pushing him to do some critical change right now, and he's not really thinking about this. So definitely important. Of course, working-life balance, just to make sure that we are not overworking. It's very common right now in IT what people working, I know, instead of 8 hours, 10 hours per day, logging in weekends, and we all have right now Slack on the phones and so on. It's pretty harmful. People tend, like I'm by myself, tend to check Slack very often. It's not very good. So definitely these things to avoid, not good pattern. And maybe last thing which I want to mention, and in general just to state that in my opinion this is most important, be honest. Okay, I did a mistake. I'm done, but I'm openly going and telling about this. Just, yeah, this has happened. I'm facing reality, we're all adults. Like, yeah, this is a mistake. And I think it's super important. I also saw different patterns when people were trying, to a little bit estimate impact of this mistake and trying to present it a bit different, and it's not really working. So you should be always honest and tell how things are. If you broke something, yeah, okay, admit it, and let's face it all together. So, yeah, and I think it's it from me. So maybe I was just faster than needed, but okay.
That's great. We have some questions. Just click on the next slide.
Okay.
So we could see
Yeah, I believe Honza's still in the team. He's still in the game. I would add a retrospective incidents. It's easier to voice issues for person affected and for strain to understand what and why it's happened. Obviously, of course, like root cause analysis is also important, but here I was more focusing on, kind of your personal interferences with a person. Okay, what a concrete thing what you can do as a manager to help your devs, especially newbies, stop fear making mistakes too much? Hard to say. I think just to work with them, getting used to them, to workflow, maybe do a fire drills, as I mentioned, right? To slowly, for example, here in Sentinel, what we are doing, we have a process in the DevOps team called the mission control. So in reality, it's a process where we all working together to handle day-to-day situations, incidents, maybe some small change requests, and all problems actually will come in terms like that. So if you are starting, you're actually starting with shadowing this mission control process for at least like 1 month, maybe even 2 months in some cases. So you are getting used to it. It will be your daily business, you will just focus it. So I think this is the case. How do you cultivate a blameless culture? Well, it's not always easy. I tend to agree. And we just tried basically saying it's starting from, from ourselves, from a way how we as leaders, from, senior engineers handling retrospectives and talking about this. So you can take what, hey, Honza did a mistake, or mistake happened because of, like a process maybe not ideal, just a situation, scene was set up like this to do a mistake. So I guess, yeah. Your tips apply best for a large organization, but what would be the 20% that gives you 80% of results for a small company? Hard to say. My experience mainly related to large organizations. I never worked in a startup, so I might be not the right person to answer this question, but I guess if you apply normal human attitude to all these situations and will just act like a, like you would like what you will be acted in such situation, I think you cannot fail, really, in my opinion. What is your personal biggest fail? Well, I have so many, I don't know which one to mention, right? So I'm a walking example of fails, right? So I could fall down here right now, just, break a stuff. So it's my specialty. So anything else?
Yeah, I actually resolved a few of the questions about biggest fail. I think we can move it to the networking part, and you can torture Edgars during networking about his significant failures. Okay?
Sure.
It's fine.
Thank you.
Talk, I decided to bring this yoga mat with me. We are streaming, I decided to do that for the folks in person and online. Our third speaker, Anna Krajuškina, software engineer from Microsoft, prepared a talk that is called Slow Down. This is why this is a yoga mat. Slow down to speed up. How to make the most out of just one day off. So let's welcome Anna with loud applause and standing up.
Thank you for the tip, that really works. My name is Anna, and I'm a software engineer at Microsoft. Most of you probably heard about sick days. You wake up in the morning and you feel a bit under the weather. You don't feel like calling the doctor though, because you feel like in one or couple of days you'll be okay and you can go back to work. Well, in Microsoft they realized that it's only one side of the coin. And they went one step further. They want to encourage people not only to take care about their physical health, but also mental health. So they replaced sick days with well-being days, which basically gives employees an opportunity to spend 10 extra days to their vacation. And obviously, there are so many ways to spend them. All right, so the opportunities are only limited by, 10 days and your imagination. And some people, for example, they just take 2 extra weeks to their vacation. Some people take every Friday off in the end of the year. What I found myself doing is using these days sparsely throughout the year to keep myself well, focused, and effective. I know what you're thinking. You're like, well, good for you. Not everyone has this kind of benefit. Not everyone has these 10 days to play around with. Stay tuned, and maybe, just maybe, I'll be able to convince you to cut your long vacation shorter, to have these couple of days to play with. Now, imagine a situation. You wake up in the morning and you feel really exhausted and really uninspired to get out of the bed, not even talk about doing some actual work. And even if you force yourself and end up staring at the screen, you feel guilty for not being productive, for not being able to find the solutions to the problems that you're facing. So let's do a quick show of hands. Who thinks that this is the right day to take a day off? Good. I see a couple of people raise their hands. Well, I believe that this is second best option. So if you're already tired, please do take a day off. But I think the best time, and that's because I strongly believe that prevention is always better than treatment. I strongly believe that the best time to take the day off was 1 or 2 days earlier. So before you woke up in this state. And let's look at an example. And obviously, the energy levels is something that you can look at different scales. So you can look at the energy levels throughout the year, you can look at them throughout the month, how your week goes. But we're going to take a simple example and look at just one day at work. Let's assume that you really love your job and you had a really, really good night's sleep. This night, the night before, and the night before. So you really feel good and happy, content, and ready for anything that life has to throw at you, to any challenges. And so you start your day with energy level at 100%. So you start about here. And what happens when you go to work, and let's assume that it's a day that's full of meetings, so you have a lot of things to discuss, right? So the first meeting, it takes a little bit out of your energy level. But the second one, it takes a little bit more. Then hopefully you take a proper lunch. So then your energy levels go a little higher, but after lunch, what happens next? There's another meeting, and one more. And I don't know if you've ever noticed that before, but it seems that it doesn't only depend on what kind of activity you're doing, but it also depends on where on this energy scale you're starting. So let's say that the first meeting, it takes 5 points of your energy scale, right? But the second one, it'll take more, it'll take 7. And the third one, it can take 10 or even more. So let's now look at the different scenario. So after this first meeting that depleted you a little bit, you went for a walk or had a chat with a friendly colleague. So that brings you back up a little. And from this point, that second meeting is not going to deplete you the same way. So you're going to be a little higher than you would be if you did that walk after these 2 meetings. All right, so you took a day off. You have some energy to spare. And so you're ready to take the most out of your day off, right? And maybe, what will be the things that can, you can do? One thing would be to go to a tropical island, right? But I'm pretty sure that none of you own a personal jet, right? And if you do, please find me after the talk. I have a question to you. Can I come along? Okay, tropical island is off the list. What are the other things, like more reasonable things you can do? And according to research, there are 2 forces at play when you think about your vacation or your day off. One is an experiencing self, and another is remembering self. And let's talk about the experiencing self first. That's something that recharges you and something that happens in the moment, in the present moment. And so please, people, don't spend your day off at work watching Netflix, because that's not going to get you anywhere. First thing you can do is get a good night's sleep. And then instead of gulping your coffee really quick, try to really savor every sip. And maybe, just maybe, you'll realize that you don't even like the type of coffee you have at home. So here's one thing you can do for your day off. Just go to your favorite cafe or a new coffee roastery to find the type of coffee that you really like, to start every day of your life with the perfect cup of coffee. And no matter what activity you choose, please make sure that it's something that you really enjoy, that makes your eyes sparkle. And please slow down. Just try to make every moment last and try to get the most out of it. So try to maybe add something that would give you the dopamine fix, right? So if you like running, go for a run. If you like climbing, go for a climb. You can try a new workout that you've dreamt about for a long time, or just take a piece of chocolate. Well, now that we've satisfied our experiencing self, let's talk about remembering self. And this is the hint. That's why maybe it will make sense from the point of view of remembering self to cut your long vacation a little shorter and have these couple of days to spare. Because from the point of view of your remembering self, it doesn't matter how much time you spend on that beach. Yes, you enjoyed that time there, and it makes sense. But from the point of your remembering self, that's 1 week or 1.5 weeks or 2 weeks, it doesn't really matter. Because what you're going to remember when you think back at this vacation is that you spent some time on the beach. It's going to feel good, but 2 weeks or 1 week, it doesn't really matter. And this is like a really great tip, because when you, all these months or years back, when you go back in your thoughts to this one day or this vacation that you've had, and if it brings a smile to your face, that's already a good investment, because without any extra investment on time, you're going to get that energy bump, right? And so here are a few things how you can make your day off more memorable. So first thing is novelty. Try something new. Maybe it will be a little hard to organize, like a parachute jump spontaneously. But taking a new route to home, like just taking a walk to an unknown area, or again trying to cook a new recipe, trying a new coffee, or again trying a new workout that you've never done before. The second thing is try to engage your senses, and that will help you, that will provide you with those triggers that will bring those memories back. For example, you can choose a soundtrack for your activity, so the next time you listen to that music on Spotify, it will bring those memories back. Before eating some food that you've cooked, or if you went out, right, try to really smell the food and taste the food, so that next time that you hear that smell of bakery, you're like, oh yeah, I had this really great day in my life. Also, what helps is to make it meaningful. One easy way to make your day off meaningful is to volunteer, and that will help you bring a little bit of purpose in your life, or like a little more purpose to your life. You can also go out with a friend for lunch, or call your parents, or pick up your children earlier from school and build some castles from chairs with them. Something to remember this day by. So, to sum it up, prevention is always better than treatment. So rest before you get tired. And please, every time you do, remember about the experiencing self and remembering self to give you the optimal boost. Should I?
Yeah, you should speak.
Yeah. I'm really clicking. Maybe I should try some other buttons.
It's the arrow button to...
Yeah.
Yeah, let me try.
It's like, it's one of those jokes. How many software engineers you need to make a clicker work?
But we have professionals here. We have like tech team. Guys, can you please?
Infra team for the rest.
Yes, please.
Incident. Incident. How many people in mind? Where's Hulda?
How we...
Maybe we could take some questions from the audience while we... Oh, cool.
I can read those for you, actually.
Okay.
Okay, one moment. I will upload more. Yeah, feel free.
What has been your best mental health day? You know, I don't need much, actually. I'm from Estonia, and it's really dark and cold in there, so I really like to go out and just stay in the sun, because I was depleted of it in my childhood. But I also really like climbing, so whenever I can, I just go to, neighboring cities and go climbing there. Okay, so have you ever tried meditation? What do you think about it? Yes, I've tried meditation. I'm a certified yoga teacher as well. So I actually meditate every day, or I try to, and I feel like it's really helping me a lot to be, that's exactly what I was talking about, to just slow down, to notice these feelings, to be able to notice when is the right time to, take this day off, when is the right time to make this pause if you don't have the day off, right? When's the right time to take some time off to be able to be better. And yeah, I think in general it helps with communication with other people. It makes you more patient and understanding. How you can justify a mental health day? Are managers generally supportive to approve it? Well, this is you can justify. It's really easy, actually, because happy engineer is better than tired and unhappy engineer. And again, it's like about this day when you don't have the energy, right? So when you got to the state when you're already exhausted and you really, you can't do any productive work, and you're doing a lot of mistakes. And the same thing that would take you like 5 minutes will take you 3 hours. So this one unproductive day, you can replace it, right, with a well-being day, but make the next day more productive. So all the tasks that you would be able to stretch into 3 days when you're feeling so-so would be just 1 day of work when you are feeling well. And I think, I don't know, I have a really great manager, so he's definitely really supportive of people taking well-being days. I don't know about all others, but I think managers really try to take care of the team in meaningful ways. What is your favorite aspect of hygge? I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly. Well, but this is hygge is also like, it's something that replenishes you, like it gives you more energy. But it's really nice, again, because like, I come from cold and dark country, so you can't really enjoy the sun or do some outside activities in winter. That's when hygge comes to play, because you can stay at home and still find activities that refill you, that make you feel good. You can still find connection with the people who are meaningful and do things that that make you feel really good. So next one, when you need a day for some of your personal life event, is it a different type of the day? There's vacation, obviously, right? So there's this well-being days. I think there are some extra things that I've never used, like support of the close one, or something like mental health types of vacation. I'm not really sure, because I never needed to use one of these, but there are a couple of more options, I think. There's also 2 or 3 volunteering days to find purpose in your life and help people at the same time. That's not really a question.
Okay. Thank you, Anna. I actually messed around a little bit and resolved some of the questions, so please bug Anna after this meetup. Ask all of the questions you want to ask. Well, next name of the talk contains bears. I don't have bear with me. So yeah, I will just announce it. The last talk for today is Black Bears, Sticky Mud, and Infinite Climbs, Unusual Stress Factors for an Engineering Manager, by Jakub Wolf. So let's welcome Kubo on stage with loud applause, as usually.
Clicker. Thank you. Thanks for the nice talk, Anna. I think it was great. I really relate to some stuff over there. I just need a few more minutes before the presentation will get ready. Just give me a weird moment. Yeah, it's popping up already. Perfect. Awkward silence. Great. So Colorado, 20 kilometers south of Steamboat Spring. It's day 26 of our ride across the United States. I've been wearing the same shirt since I purchased it back in Canada. My bibs haven't been washed for 2 days, and they stinks. It's the sun is at the highest point, and the clouds is without any. I'm sorry, but this is not working. Sun is reaching its highest points. The sky is clear of clouds. The town of Steamboat Spring. No. The town of Steamboat Spring is located at the same latitude as Madrid in Spain. We are above 2,000 meters, and we've been there since Wyoming, and we won't get under that altitude for the next 1,500 kilometers. The temperature can easily reach 30 degrees. The midnight sun is burning my skin on my legs, neck, and nose. Today, we departed quite late. My brother was dealing with some mechanical problem with the shifting, and he basically spent 3 hours of changing cassette with the new one. We were lucky it happened here. Between here and the next bike shop is actually 300 kilometers and 4,000 meters of climbing. As a morning person, afternoons are hard for me. I feel better when I do some kilometers, some distance, before my energy drop to the minimum. at this time of the day, we should have at least 50 kilometers covered. Instead, we're just starting. I mean, even though we have 2 Big Mac McDonald's menu eaten each, the 50 kilometers climb won't be easy, and it will require a lot of energy. On the climb, my mind is full of doubts and questioning. Like, is it really worth the effort, this adventure? I mean, maybe I'm not really into long-distance cycling, and maybe I should just quit. I use all my motivators to get me back. Eat a fresh banana I brought back in the morning. Now I only left with the bar that I bought back in Canada. Wear a cap instead of a helmet. You would be quite surprised how much it actually helps. And refresh a mouth with the Altoids, which is like just a mint candy that makes the water from a hot bottle a little bit more bearable experience. And of course, I tuned my favorite song into my ears, but nothing worked. And I prayed the climb to be over soon. After 4 hours of ascending, we reached the top of the Ute Pass. It's almost 1,000 meters above the point where we actually started. And I'm mentally exhausted, and I wanted to quit and instead go home. I jump into the cold river, cook an instant mashed potatoes, and sat down on a bumpy ground, fully immersed in my thoughts. And I'm thinking, well, maybe this is the time to bring the topic with my brother. So I glimpsed at him, and I kind of tell him, like, maybe I want to quit. And he actually got all the calmness he could at the point and asked me a question. And I didn't know back then, but this question actually changed the whole mood of the trip. I'm Jakub Wolf, and you might be wondering how I end up in the middle of Colorado. So we need to start actually from the beginning. I'll tell you more about what road I actually have this experience, why I started, and most importantly, because this is a mental health talk, I maybe want to tell you some practical stuff, how to cope with stress that helped me, and I took it until this day. Maybe you will find it useful. Starting from the beginning, me and my brother are avid bikepackers, which are the people who take bike and go for long trips. In 2019, I saw a video of an amazing woman called Lyle Wilcox. She's a lady who rode all the roads in Alaska on a bike, like crazy. And the video showed her how she was racing a race called Tour Divide, which is following a road called Great Divide Mountain Bike Road. I didn't know what it is, so I did a little search and found this. So Great Divide is 4,500 kilometers road that follows a continental divide. If you don't know what continental divide is, let's imagine a line. I'm like on the line, virtual line. If I pee on this side, it will go to Atlantic. If I pee on this side, it go to Pacific. Very easy. It's considered to be the longest unpaved cycling path in the world. It starts in the glacier, next to glaciers and snowpack peaks in Banff, Canada, and goes all the way to the high desert in New Mexico. It's actually 80% unpaved and goes throughout a very sparsely populated area, throughout the mountains and White Plains. I was immediately hooked. I really wanted to do this. Like, there is nothing in Europe that resembles this kind of a country, and I really want to push myself to the limit. But it takes time to complete. Like, the best top athletes can actually finish it in maybe, 15, 16 days. The top record is 14 days. But it's too fast. I mean, I don't have the endurance, and at the same time, I want to enjoy the, people and the country. And there should be a food, but US sucks with the food, so no food. So I calculated maybe 40 days plus some buffer, so 2 months. That's a long time out of the work. Like, I really need to pick this up with the manager and see what he thinks. So that's exactly what I did. And he said, like, you are crazy. I said, yeah, but I really want to do it. And he was kind of supportive, and he suggested to take a sabbatical. And I need to stop here and tell you a little bit more about sabbatical, the concept of sabbatical. Sabbatical is a time being off work, or extensive time being off work, where an employee is actually still employed and might be getting paid. This is a benefit package at kiwi.com, and it follows relatively simple rules. As long as you are 3 years in the company and you are L5 and above, which means like a senior software engineers are eligible, this benefit unlocks to you, and you can use it for taking 2 months of paid leave plus 4 months of unpaid leave every 5 years. So I was like, this is perfect. I took a preparation, bring it to the team, make all the delegation, everything that was needed, and it was great. Like, I was ready to start. Good job. So in August last year, I was standing with my brother in the trailhead, and you would be surprised how uneventful this is. Like, it's a parking lot, and there is nothing, and nothing really suggests a big adventure starts over here. But we were excited. This, for first 2 or 3 weeks, we were crossing a bear country, like black bears, brown bears, grizzly bears. All these bears are kind of local over there. It's changed the whole dynamics of the trip. I mean, before I was cycling mostly in Czech Republic, Scotland, and like, what can hurt you in this is usually yourself or other human being. Like, predators are really virtually non-existent over here. So I was watching a lot of YouTube videos about bear attacks, and it was evident that once bear attacks, you are screwed. The key is prevention. We have this today. So bears are relatively calm animals. Like, they don't mind the presence of human, but they need to know about you. You surprise a bear, and it might become a deadly situation. So loud speaking, shouting, singing are the best way how to actually announce yourself to a bear. And this is exactly what I was doing for the first week. So I was like shouting at my brother, like, Juraj, come on, let's go. Or like shouting made up words, so something like, Ejo. Or I was singing, it was like this, like, Mám chuť na malé pivko a ty mi začíná noc. And to be honest, like, I'm not a good singer. You can see that I'm definitely not talented, and this is exactly what my brother thought as well. And he was looking angrily annoyed at me and said, like, do you really need to do this? It's kind of bothering me. Given how stressed I was actually about the bears, I said, yes, I really need to do. First bear we saw in Montana. Do you see it? No, right? I mean, neither did I almost. So here he is, like a really small one. Yeah, it was cute. I was shy. It was shy and just left. But it made me realize that I was overwhelmed by the fear of bears. And not just bears. I was actually overwhelmed by the fear of mechanical issue, of impassable road, or a flat tire. And I was constantly projecting this situation and resolving the what-if scenarios, which prevented me to actually enjoy the present moment. I mean, I was ready. I prepared for this. I mean, I have tools, I have rain jacket, I have bear spray. There is no need to constantly rethink the situation that doesn't really change. And I just realized I experienced a self-inflicted stress. So lesson number 1, when you are stressed, stop and ask yourself, did I make the preparation for this situation? If the answer is yes, great. Like, enjoy the moment. If not, just stop. Prepare, and continue. After the bear country, we enter Wyoming. In Wyoming, there is one great area, which is called Wyoming Basin. Water stays in this area. There is no river flowed out of it. It's a desolate, yet beautiful place at the same time. There are vast, empty spaces. There is not a single tree, not a bush, not a human presence, and this is overwhelming. The roads feel endless here, and sometimes you can feel you can touch the road on the horizon, and it's 10 minutes away, but the reality is that several hours to reach that. We decided to cross this basin in one shot, which means cover 230 kilometers in one day. This constant sun and monotonous scenery is what makes this whole effort challenging and really treacherous effort. It's hard to keep the motivation as the country or the scenery is featureless. But the road gives you sometimes one moment that boosts your energy back. And we encounter over here the wild horses. And I want to show you just a short video. What was over there? Can you please play it? Thank you. I mean, look at them. It's just magical how they are running across the plains, enjoying the free time. I mean, this was great to see them. So even on the most challenging day, there is one joyful moment, regardless of how big or small. In Wyoming, these moments were wild horses running across the plain. Yeah, in Colorado, it was this burning sunset. And in New Mexico, it was these two hermanos chase us for 5 kilometers to give us just a cold drink and leftovers for lunch. Like, amazing. So lesson number 2, there is always the one moment in the day. Encourage it and use it to take the energy back to cope with the stress later. And you remember the story from the beginning, right? On top of the youth pass, the one that was really hard for me, and where my brother asked me a question. And the question actually was, he asked me, imagine you are at home. What would you do? It's such a simple question. I hastily started answering on the spot. And I was like, it sounded something like this, like, okay, I will go to Croissant at Lekavo because I really like that. Then I go to coffee shop, my favorite, and I get a coffee, and then with beer with friends, and then maybe on the weekend I'll go biking. What? Like, biking? I mean, I like Prague, but biking around Prague is dull. And I'm here in Colorado where it's an amazing spot, like the scenery, there cannot be nothing better. And I'm doing it with my brother, and I'm having the great time. I'm writing my dream. And that question made me realize that I was doing exactly what I was supposed to do. So lesson number 3, when you are stressed, take a perspective. Look at the situation from a different angle, from a different point of view, and it can always give you a refocus. So we finished a great divide after 40 days, and we are on the border of Mexico. I lost 9 kilos. I'm very grateful for the whole experience. I got back at work full of energy, and I have my 3 lessons that I learned, and I still use them today, and maybe you find them useful as well. So when you are stressed, stop and ask yourself, did I make the preparation? No? I mean, yes? Yeah, great. Enjoy the moment. No? Stop, prepare, and continue. Do not skip the nice moment in the day. They always give you the boost you need to actually cope with the hard situation. And lesson number 3, when the time is hard and stress is really high, I sometimes put myself back into this climb in Colorado. And this perspective of maybe, I mean, being tired, thirsty, and hungry is sometimes really hard at just some meeting that I have to. So I'm not saying it as always, but it helps me to regain. So this perspective is really helpful. For my sabbatical, I choose this trip. Cycling is something I really enjoy. Bike is an extension of my body. I use the fantastic benefit to actually regain or reconnect with my brother and around the world around me. And even though it was a very personal desire, I'm still surprised how much actually it reflects into my professional life as well. And I mean, cycling might not be for everyone, let alone cycling 4,500 kilometers in 40 days. Your desire might be totally different. Some people like to spend more time with the family, some to go to the summer retreat, and some to just go travel, and that is okay. Time off helps us reconnect with the world around us. It boosts us, it prevents our burnouts, and it gains focus and energy. Thank you. So the first question, how much in advance do you need to plan a sabbatical? So this one was 6 months. I planned that. I prepared the whole organization. I'll be gone for 6 months, and I think that's about the time that is really cool. But I think it could be done also in the three months. It depends on your position and how much you advance. The more advanced, the better you can prepare. So the next one is how many days it took. So I said it was 40 days. We had only 1 day off. And every day we covered about 120 kilometers on average. So it was just like a normal working day. We start, 8 hours, finish, and sleep. It wasn't not much. But as I said, I would definitely like to try a shorter time, maybe do a race. We'll see. Have you heard of insulated lightweight bottles? Yeah, I mean, they are good. They're not always lightweight. And to enjoy the ride, you need as little weight as you need. That really helps to have the great ride. And the insulated bottles, the thing is that the sun is all the time. And the time on Wyoming, there is no tree. There is virtually nothing, literally nothing that actually prevents from sun reaching any bottle. So it just eventually gets hot anyway. Did my brother get sabbatical? Well, he wasn't that lucky. He got just unpaid leave. So I was in a better state than him. But he was allowed to do that as well. I think it was also important. And actually, I'm really grateful that Kiwi has such a benefit that helped me to achieve this. Did you film horses? Yes. We stopped and we actually filmed them. When we saw them, we were we thought they were cows, because cow is the most common animal you see on this road, surprisingly. But yeah, these horses were really we saw them and we filmed them. Are there any towns or villages on the way? So this, I said, it goes through sparsely populated areas. And this is really true. The biggest town that we saw was Helena in Montana, which has around 30,000 inhabitants, I think. So most of the towns we're crossing is maybe 5 people, 7, 10, 50. And there are 4 days of not being able to restock. So you need to carry food for 4 days to actually be able to make it. So really, rather than settlement than villages. How not to waste sabbatical? Oh, that's a good one. It's really tough, because before this talk, I was thinking about the same. You saw that biking might not be for everyone, and I was thinking how my colleague is right now also going for a sabbatical, and I was thinking, should I give him any advice, how to spend it? I think this is really hard. For me, what works is getting to the limits. For you, it might not be the thing. Many people would say that getting to limits, if you are already stressed, might not be really the good thing to actually do. For me, it works, I like it, but for you, it might be something else. What I really think, I heard people that are taking sabbatical to spend more time with their families. And I think this is amazing that you have actually time to spend the time with the kids. So it's really important to think about and use the time the most. I think Anna said that, watching Netflix is probably not the best thing you can do. But there are many things, and try something new. It was already said. How did you sleep? Okay, that's it. Should I answer, or is it?
I don't know.
Okay, I'll be quick. So how did we sleep? That was I was really scared of bear. So first, it wasn't a lot of sleep. But we were sleeping outside mostly. So from 40 nights, we slept 30 in the woods, somewhere in the camp, or really anywhere. In the US, there is a huge advantage compared to European countries. You can sleep in the public lands, unless it's a not national park, but most of them are just something I think it's called national forest or something, and you can sleep anywhere. There are almost no limitations, so that helped. And we had a tent, and we were sleeping in a tent next to my brother. I don't think I think I slept with him when I was a kid, not since then. So it was really interesting experience. Thank you.
So this is our mental health meetup. This is it in terms of talks for today. I hope we all got some inspiration to take care of our mental health. I hope you got some hugs from this meetup. Before we move to the networking part, there is pizza on the way, by the way, so please don't leave. We have a lot of informal chats. I would like to ask you to give us some of the feedback right here like in Slido. We just take some 5 minutes and nice music from our tech staff. Please scan the QR code and give us the small feedback for our speakers, for the organizers of the event. Help us to improve our future events. Yes? Like you want to share now? You need to attach some stuff to your head because not all of the people will be hearing you.
Okay.
Or I can repeat after you.
Okay. I guess I can do it.
You can attach if you want to share. So you want to make a lightning talk or something?
Kind of like it will be very quick, but I think it will be.
Great. So you guys work on the feedback, and we will have super short lightning talk. It's amazing. Can you guys play us some music?
Raz.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, it works. I don't need it. Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you. It's not really necessary. It was really spontaneous that I was listening, and I am not prepared or anything, but I struggle with anxiety like a lot, and I'm an overthinker. I have difficulty with focusing to my work and everything, so I always have this like restless feeling out of nowhere, and I have migraine attacks, like I have asthma attacks, and then there is this cramps in my stomach the whole time, and I didn't know why. And then I realized that all of them are psychosomatics. So it means, actually, it happens because of what's here, or like what I'm feeling. So how I was dealing was that I was trying to deal with it, with like taking naps or taking breaks from work. I don't know, maybe going for a small, like short walk, but it didn't help. And then I realized that I didn't know how to rest. And I would like to share with you that actually there are 7 types of rest. So first type is the physical rest, and that is like yoga, stretching, sports. And the second type is the mental rest, and that is like when you go to bed at night and you can't turn off your brain and so on. So this is actually where you need to slow down. And the third type is the sensory rest. So, you know, all the bright lights, computer, so just put it away. Like, turn off your computer, put your phone away, and whatever. And the fourth type is the creative rest. So do something creative, some art or whatever you like. And the fifth is emotional rest. And that is when you say, you know, today I'm not okay, as you said during your talk. So when you need some emotional rest, you probably also have social rest deficit, which is the 6th type. And that is like when you need to meet some of your friends, someone that makes you feel good. And the 7th type, like the final one, is the spiritual rest, and that to achieve that you should engage in something bigger than yourself. So that could be like some volunteering, some meditation. If you are a believer, maybe engage in some praying activities or whatever. But I think it's good to know these 7 types of resting so that you can be aware, am I actually doing that? Because I realized I was just taking naps and whatever, so that could be considered as physical rest. not really, but whatever. So this year I'm very committed to be like disciplined and to feel better, to feel like both physically and mentally. So I would like to share some of the things that I'm doing. So I do creative hours, at least 1 hour every week. I do something creative. I'm not an art person. I really can't manage to draw or anything, but I'm just looking for some ideas on Pinterest, or I like do-it-yourself stuff. So I just find stuff, and at least 1 hour, I just force myself. At the end of the week, like if it's Sunday and if I still didn't do anything, I'm just like, okay, now, before I go to sleep, I will do it. And then I go to swimming twice a week, and that is after work. And it is really hard, like, because I have all those meetings, it's already 4 afternoon, and I'm tired. I would like to take a nap. I don't want to go and get in the water, come back, take a shower and everything. But then I force myself because I'm committed to be disciplined. That's the thing. And then I get in the water and I can't describe the feeling. I feel so good. And then I do brain dumps of like morning pages, which is like writing down everything on your brain. Like when you wake up, you don't think, you're just writing. Just write. And like you don't have to think what you are writing. It doesn't have to be, it's not a novel or something. You're just putting everything in your mind. And for 3 pages, like you shouldn't stop until you fill 3 pages. And I must admit that this is the hardest thing to do so far, and I'm not really disciplined on that, but it really helps because, as I said, I'm an overthinker. And when I clean everything in my brain in the morning, I realize that I am more productive during the day. And then also, as I said, the social rest. So I always have a video call with my mom and my aunt because they are the ones making me feel the best. And now I'm living in the Czech Republic, so I'm just calling them and have a talk, like, I don't know, for an hour or maybe 1.5 hours sometimes. But we are having so much fun, and then I feel so good. My mood is suddenly like here. So, and also I started therapy. I know some people are just so like afraid to tell that they are going to therapy, or they don't even want to go there because it's just something, you know, those sick people goes, you know, like mentally sick and whatever. It's not, because we all have traumas and everything. So all this anxiety actually coming from my childhood, I just discovered. So these are the hacks that I wanted to share. So I don't know, hopefully it helps to someone. Yeah.
Can I ask also you to introduce yourself?
I didn't, I'm sorry. Yeah, because it was so spontaneous, and I'm like, look, I'm shaking. So I am Berna, and I work at Revolgy, the multi-club vendor in the Czech Republic. So yeah, and I am working as a talent acquisition associate, so I'm hiring, basically. Yeah. Yeah, hopefully it's enough, yeah, okay. Okay.
Thank you. Wow, this is my favorite part, when we suddenly have lightning talks and people want to share. So this is just amazing. Thank you guys for sharing your feedback. We really appreciate it. By the way, we have some pieces of swag right here on the table. You can pick up some anti-stress balls or some bottles for your next bike trip, or some tea, I guess, or maybe coffee. Well, there is a lot of stuff, so you can check it out. And we are slowly moving to the networking part, so feel free to connect to the people around, feel free to discuss mental health hacks more, and see you on our next events. Thank you.